Hey, this is George. Have you ever heard of Anchor.fm? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's free. Number two, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Check out Anchor.fm on the iOS and Android systems.
Need psychotherapy online or in person? Check out tinyurl.com/THT psychotherapy. The George Brassey podcast is made possible with funding provided from Brassey Global Strategies, LLC, a leading political consulting, public policy, government affairs, and research firm. Are you interested in running for elected office? Need advice? Call or email George, 708-769-5015. Brassey Global Strategies 1@gmail.com.
Freeze doesn't stop Chicago Heights City Council from taking care of business. Freeze doesn't stop Chicago Heights City Council from taking care of business, Chicago Heights, Illinois, despite some members of the council being absent, freezing weather and meeting remotely due to COVID restrictions. On Tuesday night, the Chicago Heights City Council approved a number of projects to continue moving forward the city's beautification projects. Architectural services. With Alderman Vincent Zaranti sitting in as acting mayor for Mayor David Gonzalez, the council approved an agreement for architectural services with TRIA Architecture. Under the $23,000 agreement, TRIA will provide a space needs analysis of the municipal garage and water department facilities. The company will analyze existing facilities and determine whether an upgrade or a totally new facility is needed, based on current and future needs. TRIA has provided architectural services for other local municipalities such as Country Club Hills, designing its amphitheater, storage and fleet maintenance facilities, and upgrading its recreational center. Morton Arboretum Grant. The council voted to accept an award of $15,000 from the Morton Arboretum through its Urban and Community Forestry Grant. The grant will pay for a tree inventory of the city. Funding for the grant is provided by the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Service through the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Urban and Community Forestry Program. It offers urban and community forestry grants to municipalities, which are required to pass a tree preservation/protection ordinance before the end of the grant period. Engineering services. The council also approved proposals totaling $842,000 for engineering services for various city infrastructure projects. Chief of Staff Karen Zarant said the projects include sewer and resurfacing work around the city. The council approved an agreement with Grand Capital, North America, LLC, to induce the sale and development of the city-owned real estate at 560 and 570 West Lincoln Highway. Jack Hines, city economic development consultant, said the parcels are the sites of the former Lorenzetti's restaurant and car lot next to it. Grand Rapid Capital has done a number of developments in the city. In other business, Chief of Staff Karen Zarant gave the council an update on January's Illinois Department of Public Health vaccination clinic, hosted by the city. She said about 250 people registered online. The city plans to hold another vaccination clinic, in conjunction with IDPH, in February. Chicago Heights Fire Chief Jeffrey Springer announced the promotion of Captain Tony Mascalino to Assistant Fire Chief. The council approved a redevelopment agreement to induce the sale of the city-owned surplus real estate at 1902 Euclid Avenue, through the city's Abandoned Property Acquisition Program. And the city's city towing services agreement was renewed. Freeze doesn't stop Chicago Heights City Council from taking care of business.
Before we get to the interview, I just want to tell you about our newest sponsor. Union Signs and Printing. Union Signs and Printing is a union sign shop located near Chicago, Illinois, that specializes in the production of corrugated plastic lawn signs used in applications ranging from political and election usages to unions, schools, and businesses. They also produce a vast array of other products, including American-made union-printed t-shirts, banners, bio cards, literature, door hangers, business cards, and trifold. Get a hold of Union Signs and Printing at 815-740-1688 or find them on the internet at unionsignsandprinting.com. And don't forget to tell them you heard about their services on the George Brassey podcast. I'm so glad to welcome Trustee Adam Winston from the Village of Glenwood to my podcast. Trustee Winston, welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Hi, George. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So, Adam, let's get right into it. Tell the audience a little bit about your personal journey to make the decision to run for mayor of Glenwood.
George, every time somebody asks me this question, it's not as simple, right? Because, most people they notice where we are now, but they don't always identify or recognize how many steps we had to take just to get to the place that we are. So my journey actually in this space started well over 10 years ago. And I started off as a small local person in the town, just trying to make a difference, trying to make certain that the community that I represent now, which is the Village of Glenwood, just had a voice, just had somebody that was going to pay it attention and make certain that at least we were on the map, for more than just some of the silliness that we had in the political space. So I started off, just trying to connect with the residents, work with the administration at the time. And since then, I've been in this space for, like I said, about 10 years, and I'm looking forward to being the next mayor here in the Village of Glenwood.
What are some of the challenges you see now as a trustee, and how would you address them as mayor?
Listen, the challenges are going to be there, and actually, I don't even look at them as problematic as some people may look at them. Glenwood is a beautiful community, right? And contrary to popular belief, many people who come into this, many people who live here, would also recognize that we don't have some of the same issues as some of our neighbors, some of the other communities around us. Glenwood is still very solvent, even with the political back and forth that we may have. We're still a great, beautiful place for anybody to raise a family. So all I'd like to do, with that being said, is not reinvent the wheel, right? I think that we have opportunities where we can grow. I think that we need much more of a proactive leader in terms of having a vision for the town and making certain that that vision is actually has a plan that we can implement and get it done. Find resources to improve the aging infrastructure throughout the community, create better partnerships with the community and the police and all of the public services that we have, so that we can have a community that we're all proud of. So the house isn't on fire in Glenwood. I mean, if people are just looking for something to scream and shout about, I would like for us to scream and shout about all of the wonderful things that we have: a beautiful golf course, open space all around us, and people like myself that are ready to roll up their sleeves and represent this community at a high level.
Make the pitch. If somebody is looking for a place to live, why Glenwood?
Listen, my children walk to school. They bike ride to school. They can enjoy the parks. The neighbors know them. Glenwood is one of the few areas around here where the neighbors know each other. We still got a lot more to do in terms of programs for the young people, but for the most part, We have an excellent baseball team. I coach baseball here. We have an awesome football team that's won many awards. We got a basketball program that helps support the youth, and cheerleading for some of the individuals that are interested in that. So we have plenty of things here for the young people to do. We have beautiful bike trails that are surrounding our village where people can take advantage of the nature and the open space. We have skating rinks. We have the roller rink not too far from us where you could go skating and you could bike ride there. So we have things here to offer any young person, but we also have areas that we can improve and that we could do more of. We definitely need to get much more sidewalks so that when to move our residents from one side of the town to the next, we need to make certain that we have much more small restaurants for people to support throughout the community, so that you could just come here and have a sandwich on your way through these particular towns. But Glenwood is safe. We have a respectable police department and fire department. We have a community that it's full of people that are proud of this space that we reside in. So it's an exciting time in Glenwood. The housing market, we're kind of undervalued in terms of our housing market. So it's a wonderful place to get a nice family size home and raise a family here.
You mentioned sidewalks as an important part of what you believe would make the village successful. Is the sidewalks in Glenwood, are they under the jurisdiction of the village, or do the residents have to cover some costs?
Sidewalks belong to the village. So anything from the sidewalk to the soft shoulder belongs to that's the public space that belongs to the village. We appreciate our neighbors and residents that they really kind of cut that grass in the front of their homes, and they make certain that apron in their driveways are generally taken care of. But that is the public space, right? So when sometimes we have to come in there, we have to bust it up and we have to repair it so that we can get to our plumbing pipes and so on and so forth. And generally we get back around and we make certain that those areas are patched up and that the grass is replaced. And if any water sprinklers are damaged, we try to make those improvements as well. But any sidewalks back to the street are public space, and any a developing community has to look at the sidewalks, not just for people getting from one side to the other, but how sidewalks are used. Are they wide enough where our downtown area, where if we had businesses that were using the sidewalks for tables, for dining, they need to be wide enough where people can get down there if they're handicapped with a wheelchair, or and two people can get down there. So we have to look at them not a here and now, through a here and now lens, but what is the future? Our communities are getting older. We still want our aging community to still participate in the outdoor space. So we need to make certain that our sidewalks are even, trip hazards removed, and so on and so forth, and that people can get through from one side of the town to the other.
One thing that I always associate with the Village of Glenwood is trains.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what your thoughts are about trains. Is there an issue there for you?
Listen, the trains are the trains. I mean, Illinois is a lot of commerce that's going in and out of this state, right? And the train tracks crisscross the state like they do many other places. Glenwood is not insulated by that. But I also look at some of our neighbors, like our neighbors to the north of us, where they have multiple trains that will block you down. So we're in relatively good hands, because we do once in a while have a train that will block the west side from the east side of the town. But what I'd like to see is that not necessarily as a bad thing. Yes, we all get into this rushing where I left a little bit late and I got to get to Halstead, and now this train is coming. But I'd like to see more restaurants incorporated into that space around that train station, maybe have something called side tracks, right? Where that's a part of that ambiance, right? Where the train tracks, you can sit there, get a sandwich, whatever, and let that train go by. So the trains are what they are. The main street isn't, we're a small town. Main Street isn't going to be turned into a 4-lane road. Main Street, in fact, it's a 2-lane street. And even if we had the money to do it, we still would have to acquire all the properties around that street. So it's a very expensive proposition in terms of putting a tunnel or building some sort of ramp where the cars can go over there. So we got to look at some creative ways to get people from one side of the town to the other. And there are other things in other areas that we can look at. But the train, unfortunately, is what it is. We don't control the train tracks. I'd like to have a stronger partnership with the ones that do own that track, so that when those tracks are popping up, that we're not causing damage to individuals' vehicles. But for the most part, that's kind of the space that we kind of live in. And I think that we should look at it from the uniqueness of a small town having that train come straight through here, not necessarily only looking at it as a bad thing, but how do we tie it into our landscape and make it much more of this is Glenwood, and you may get a train, but it's worth the wait.
Do you support the Southeast Metro line, that proposal?
Yes, you know what, I do support it. So I support it. I'd like to know more about it in terms of who's going to pay for it and what it's going to cost. I'd also like to see what type of resources are available, to help communities such as ours, to make certain that we have, a place for people to stand on that dock and that platform while they're waiting on that train. So, it would be a welcome treat, but at the same time, I don't want to just look at it just from that train being there just to take the commuters to further south or downtown Chicago. I'd like it to be a much more of a very encompassing, holistic plan where we tie that train track into our landscape, where individuals can stop at a coffee shop, just get on the train, take a ride downtown, or go farther south if they need to. So I definitely support it. I just would like to have much more understanding of how that would work. What are the implications in terms of how much space would it take in terms of would we need to purchase land on this side of the road or this side of the track or that side of the track. So all of those are things that we need to consider when we look at this project. So if it's something that's coming, I would welcome it, no doubt. But because anytime you can get people to and from the city, where it just decreases the amount of traffic and so on and so forth. So I do support it.
One of the things that brought a lot of attention to the village was the proposed potential nuclear power plant. What are your thoughts on that? A few years ago.
In this space, in this space that we're in, George, anytime you're a public figure, and something such as the power plant that was coming in Glenwood, the power plant, just in case no one knows, it's the one that was supposed to be located over there off Joe Road. It was going to be annexed in the Village of Glenwood. The problem I had with it is how it was done. And even if it was clean energy or so on and so forth, I do think that there needs to be much more of a conversation with the community. There needs to be much more buy-in before these decisions are made one way or another. So I wasn't personally, I'm always troubled by communities that have they're financially strapped. They make some decisions sometimes that only benefit the people at the top, as opposed to looking at those residents who have to deal with that on a day-to-day basis. So there needs to be closer business public partnerships, and that's one of the things that I'd like to do under my administration. But it needs to be done collectively. It should not be one person alone just driving that conversation. the pros and cons of some of these initiatives need to be flushed out more, and then we need to make certain that we have the public's buy-in. If it isn't something that they want, instead of forcing it through where you have to have a committee of communities coming together to speak out against it, this could have been headed off. It could have been headed off by bringing them in, having much more public conversations, and starting that process long enough ahead of time where people can get some of their concerns answered, so that the project can or not be successful. So I wasn't for the power plant. I wasn't for it. Of course, the tax revenue would have benefited the Village of Glenwood, but at the same time, we also have to look at the quality of life, and that too is as important as the financial benefits that we could have gained from that power plant.
Trustee, tell us a little bit about, you describe yourself as a serial entrepreneur. Yeah. What does you, and what will that bring to the people of Glenwood?
Well, when I'm mayor, okay, because I'm claiming it, right? So when I'm mayor, what that means to many of the businesses and those people in the Village of Glenwood that are operating as entrepreneurs, that you will have an administration that no doubt is favorable to small business. I want to see them succeed. Glenwood's footprint is a smaller footprint, as opposed to us always going after the big box stores. I think we would be better served at looking at some of those boutique shops that don't necessarily require as much and don't take so much in terms of TIF money from the village, and we would have a longer lasting impact with those relationships that we establish with small business owners. I am a serial entrepreneur, and what I mean by that is I've had several businesses that I've opened. My first business, it was a grocery store. I started off on the street corner when I was 19 years of age. No college education at that particular time, but I was able to make myself a decent living at that time, standing and selling fruit on the corner until I could get a brick and mortar establishment. And since then, I've gone on and I've helped other people with their businesses. I've had a consulting firm that talks about some of these challenges that small businesses are having and creating a strategy for them that will translate nicely in the Village of Glenwood. It doesn't mean that I know all there is about business, but what it does mean is going in, understanding some of the challenges that businesses face, kind of makes me one of the unique individuals in this race to make certain that Glenwood has a viable business base that just doesn't come in and stays for a couple of days, but they stay and grow and prosper with us. So my hope is that we are looking for an opportunity, not necessarily to change the footprint in the Village of Glenwood. We're never going to be the city of Chicago, right? We don't need to have skyscrapers and so on and so forth. We are a smaller boutique town, but that's where the opportunity is. The pandemic has shown us that small business now more than ever needs our support, and we need theirs. So my initiatives right now and my focus will be on creating a healthy, diverse small business hub that will support the local small businesses that are willing to grow with us and willing to invest in this community.
Trustee Winston, are you running with a slate of
candidates?
Candidates?
Well, I'm not running as a slate, but there are candidates that I support. So Octavia Alzheimer's is running for clerk in the Village of Glenwood. I'm also supporting Michelle Reed. Michelle Reed is a longtime resident of the Village of Glenwood. I think that she'll make a fantastic trustee. She isn't a politician, and sometimes we need somebody who's just passionate about making certain that our community is beautified and that some of that low-hanging fruit that we often overlook is taken care of. And then I have Sean Polk. Sean Polk is a newer resident to the Village of Glenwood, but she too comes with her brings with her a ton of information and knowledge about the real estate market, and I think that she will be fantastic on the board. She's not like me, right, where I'm a seasoned politician, but at the same time, you need that balance so that we can try to reach all of those that want to be a part of this exciting time in the Village of Glenwood, and have some people with some new ideas who want to look at this different or not into this gridlock. it's easy to keep pointing out all of the problems that we have in terms of the board and in terms of what we got going on in Glenwood. We need to start looking for people that are willing to partner with the administration and with the leadership in the town. And I think that these individuals would be fantastic. I personally asked them to run, and I'm looking forward to working with them on the board in the future. So Octavia Alzheimer's, Sean Polk, and Michelle Reed are two of the or three of the individuals that I'm supporting. But it's not a slate. We're all individuals, and we're running as independents, and we're looking for their support in the April 6th election this year.
Trustee Winston, what are two books that have been influential to you that you could share
Well,
with the audience?
I'm a reader, so the two most important books that I've read is The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. That's by Debbie Ford, and it really talks about how to look at what some people see as problems, to be able to look at them differently and see the advantage and even the dark side of them. So it's a fantastic read. It's an older book, and I don't think everybody would be ready to read that book. It's not a book that everybody, you gotta kind of grow into it, right? So that you can really appreciate what she's offering. And then the other book that I thoroughly enjoy. I don't even know where to take System Think. I happen to be a change manager. That's what I do for a living. So I go into organizations and I make them run better. So I'm in the organizational development space. But learning about organizations, how they operate, how they function, that's where I dwell, right? So I enjoy a much more technical read in this book called System Think. It's a very interesting read if you want to go to sleep, but more importantly, it's a good read if you want to learn about various ways of making the organization that you represent or helping a team that you're on be much more adaptable for the future.
Trustee Winston, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me everywhere, George. I am everywhere. All you have to do, honestly, is punch in Adam Winston Glenwood. You should be able to find me. I'm on Facebook. We have a Citizens Organized Glenwood page that I started long ago. That page was generated for the community back in 2011 or 2013, and it's a platform for new residents to learn what's going on in their community and share and so on and so forth. And then you can always reach me at the village. They can at least point you in the right direction, and give me a call. But you can reach me Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't do Twitter. I don't do Instagram yet. I have those accounts, but I don't use them as much. But if you just go to Facebook and you punch in Adam Winston and Glenwood, you should be able to find me. And if you can't find me, contact the Village of Glenwood.com, and they will be able to point you in the right direction. Or ask your neighbor. A lot of times your neighbor may actually even know me.
Trustee Winston,
thank you, George. You have a very good evening, and thanks for the invite. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Help George stay on the Chicago Heights City Council. Go and donate today at tinyurl.com/AldermanGeorge 2023. Need more George? Like his pages on Facebook. Friends of George Brassey PAC, Fifth Ward Business Alliance, Chicago Heights Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, and the George Brassey Podcast.